Hi friends, Julie Cross here. I wanted to talk to you today about luck because some of you already know how I feel about this when people go, you're lucky, aren't you lucky? So this is a bit of a conversation about luck and how we create luck and the difference between being the victim and the victor in our lives and the choices that we make. Now it's like the minute I start having a conversation like this, and talk about empowering up, it's almost like you've got to start apologising to people because you immediately feel like if I start talking about empowering up and looking after your body, that there will be some people sitting there going, oh, you're having a go at me and you're judging me. I'm not judging you. I'm loving you. And if you have a conversation about suggesting to people that maybe they can move through some of their fears and anxiety by applying some discipline in their thinking, people then start to feel like, oh, you're judging me and my anxiety and it's not my fault and you're saying that, I choose this. No, but I'm loving you. I'm not judging you. And I'm making some observations that it may be that there are some things that we can empower up through, given the opportunity. So I'm loving you and believing in you to have these conversations. And there are some things that we'll need help with, and that's okay too. But we can't not have the conversations for fear of offending somebody. And so, it's just amazes me how often people are more comfortable in sitting there going, well, lucky you that you could do this, or lucky you that you went to Africa, or lucky you that you were just born positive, or lucky you that you can handle that. Well, maybe the reason that I get to do that is because I learned how to do that, and that I invested in strategies and in courses and in books to teach me how to do that. So, lucky me that I moved 10 times in the 16 years that I lived at home. Lucky me that I got a chance to understand that change is inevitable. These days we could reframe that and say, well, I'm devastated because I never had a childhood where it was secure and an environment. No, I didn't either. It was a very insecure childhood. We were moving all of the time, different friends, different schools. So you can either frame that to say, well, I'm a victim of that, or I can be a victor of that and say, well, how wonderful that I got a chance to understand that home is where the family is and it didn't have anything to do with the four walls that you were in, and that change was inevitable and we could survive change, and what a great foundation that was to launch from. Lucky me that I never finished high school. Lucky me that I got an opportunity to develop those entrepreneurial skills that can't be taught but come from the school of life. Maybe. Lucky me. So we can reframe things all of the time and see more of a victor mentality out of it rather than being a victim. And so lucky me that my first boss told me that I'd never be a good hairdresser and I should give up hairdressing. And I believed her for 2 years and worked at a news agency, got very unhealthy and overweight, until one day I woke up and realised that I didn't have to believe her story about me. That's a choice that we make. And so you reframe the situation and you go, well, now I've got a strength, and I got back up out of that. I did my whole apprenticeship all over again. So in fact, I did a 6-year apprenticeship. I wish you could see me now. And so lucky me, So lucky me that I was introduced to a personal development book by my boss at the time, that I read and applied the principles and won Hairdresser of the Year. I visualised every night going to bed, me on stage saying that speech. And that emotion that you have in visualising that feeling of seeing yourself do it, well, that's a strategy, because that creates the motion. Emotion creates the motion for you to apply yourself and end up making that dream come true and standing on stage and winning Hairdresser of the Year and then going on to start my travels. Lucky me, so it's over to you. Lucky me that, I married the love of my life and didn't get caught up in the car he drove or that sort of thing, and found him. Lucky me for that. Lucky me, he was the guy that supported me to start my business. Well, how about lucky me that he has a stroke? Well, lucky me that I get to marry a man who has the strength and shows my children the courage to come back from that as well as he could and be a great father. Lucky me, he was a great father while he was here, even though he's no longer here. Lucky me that I have autism come banging and crashing into my life. Lucky me that I learned that it's not about the walls that we live in, it's about the love that you have in here. Lucky me that I learned to look through the broken windows of my life to the view beyond. And so in this age of being vulnerable and authentic, it means sharing your story for sure, but it means getting up through that story. You don't wallow in it, you get back up through it, and you take the gifts that have come from what you've learned and you be a victor. You turn your pain into power and you empower others. And so we learn how to do that. We learn how to empower up through the adversity in life. You know, after going to the genocide memorial in Rwanda and hearing their stories and their ability to stand back up. So when you go in there and you sit with that pain, you cry and you be and you empathize. And that is what empathy comes from, is feeling it, trying to. I mean, you can't ever really know, but trying to feel it from their point of view so that we can make sure that we have that emotion around never letting that happen again. And then you stand up through it, though. You get back up and feel empowered by their stories and the way that they shared their stories and their ability to forgive afterwards. And so you become empowered up through this. So it was always about feeling our pain and, yes, sharing it, and we should. And the more we share it, the more we feel less alone. But you get back up through it. And in my shows, I share the strategies and how we do that, and how we create the miracles in life of that people say. I've had people say to me, I'm so lucky that you see feathers, or so lucky that you get these messages from the universe. It's not lucky. I'm not the only one getting them. Everybody else is too, but we're just not necessarily tuned into it, and we're not focusing on the good things, so we're not attracting more of them, because what we focus on expands. What flows from you flows to you. So it's not about being lucky. It's about harnessing that energy and creating the luck in your life, and rising up through it, through the adversity. So they're all the strategies that I share in my shows. So I just still can't quite understand why in our society we are more prepared to spend money once we are sick. We will be happily going to the appointments then and getting the therapies and paying for whatever the pills we need to get well once we are sick. Let us spend the money and spend the time investing on staying well. And that is staying well emotionally, staying well physically. You know, we've become an age of wanting the quick fix as opposed to doing the work. And sometimes doing the work is going to a seminar or show, but then you've got to show up afterwards and do the work. I sometimes think we've become addicted to going to seminars or paying. The more I pay for a weekend conference, the quicker I'm going to become a success. You've still got to come out and do the work. And so, and rise up with it and put it into action. And so my shows are all about sharing the strategies that allow us to get lucky, to empower up and know that I can design my life. I don't have to sit here and say, well, it's just how things turned out and I got picked to take one for the team and have the miserable life. No, you know, we can change that with our thinking and with our energy, and with applying some discipline and some strategies. And so that's what I share on my show. So if you want to get lucky, come along and get lucky. And if you, at the end of that 2 hours, you think that I didn't share anything with you that can add any value to your life, or you didn't have a good time, then I'll give you your $45 back. Please take it back. I'm happy to do that. So, yeah, sometimes we just got to keep, and it's in a workout, so we've got to keep doing it. You know, I'm back reading a book that I read years ago about attracting wealth into your life, because I need to be reminded of the messages. I need to keep having a workout. I need to keep applying the strategies. It's a repetition thing. You know, you repeat it, you get stronger at it, you get better at it. You just can't do it in a day, in one show, in one event, in one book. It's a process, and we get better at it, and suddenly our thinking gets to a higher level, and suddenly our life starts spiraling up. That doesn't mean we still won't have any challenges. It means we'll be better able to handle the challenges and empower up and grow through them. So that's what it's about. So anyway, let's all get lucky together. Why not? Life is for living, and for loving, and for enjoying and living to the fullest. And so let's all empower up together. I look forward to seeing you soon.